Shut up and sit down.
People who don't wash their hands after they go to the bathroom, you're nasty. The Lord is watching.
I want to ride it where I like. I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride my bike. I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride it where I like.
Say what? You came back for another Dialed podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During? You're the best. We all can use a good Chinese proverb from time to time. So here you go. A man who cannot tolerate small misfortunes can never accomplish great things. Stay strong, my friends.
I want to go to the zoo and tickle a gorilla and then punch it in the face. You got to cuss yourself out every once in a while. What can I say? You know?
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von During. I'm sitting here with Evan Price.
How's it going, folks? While we're starting with me. Okay, so we have only 2 drinks at the table today and Matt on the camera. So we have the Monster Juice Energy Plus Juice. It has vitamins and taurine, and it's a mango loco flavor. And then Lance, what do you have?
I've got the Monster Zero Sugar purple flavor, courtesy of Mr. Evan Price.
And what is it? And what does it taste like? Purple.
It tastes like purple. It's ultraviolet.
Whatever neon lights taste like. It's what that tastes like.
I feel sparkly.
Under a black light. I wonder what color it would be. I wonder what color your
for
intestines
sure
would be as
radioactive.
well.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we know it's radioactive.
I don't know.
That's all.
I got some black coffee.
Oh, look.
Jake did grab a drink.
Matt's
Spindrift.
got something.
Oh, Spindrift is a great set. That's a highly underrated seltzer.
It's tasty.
Like, it's delicious. It's very good.
A lot of calories.
That's probably why I like it.
There's 0 calories.
No, it was like
Spindrift.
60 or something like that.
That's actually a lot for a seltzer.
You
3 calories in
3?
3? Oh, that's a good Spindrift right there.
Maybe I'm thinking of something
It's
else.
a low-cal Spindrift.
Awesome. Devin's right. Mr. Lance Hepler.
Lance Romance. Kind of here, sweaty and goopy.
Now, you just had your 28th wedding anniversary?
I had my 28th.
How old are you again?
Dude, I've lived like 3 lifetimes before
I
you
so
met
wanted
me.
to comment that on Brandy's thing, and I was like, no. This is Brandy. Brandy did a very nice job of putting together a very nice post. Do not ruin it with a bad joke.
I think that Lance shares an anniversary with Scott Macbeth,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
they just
Was
celebrated
it
their
20
28th as
Yes.
well.
Yeah,
So
that's what I
We were
thought.
married the same day. Me and Scott Macbeth
That
married the
is
same day.
the coolest dialed random fact.
June
Is
4th, 1994.
Now you know.
Yeah.
the same day. Did you two know each other at that
No.
time? That makes it even cool. That's wow.
I didn't meet Scott.
June
until,
4th, that's
like,
close to-
15 years ago.
Me and Cass will be June 18th. We'll all be June
Yeah.
stuff.
Between his lamb chops and Lance's
Yeah.
handlebar mustache over here. We
That's
got
a
some
lot
serious
of
facial
and
hair
then
going
I've
on.
got a mustache growing here too. So we got it. Just June weddings are strong facial hair wedding time periods.
Gotcha. And over FaceTime today, FaceTime, brought to you by Apple, new sponsor, Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys look blurred out a bit on your FaceTime. Looking good.
Come on, Apple.
We've got a pretty good sponsor lineup right now. We got Apple, Monster, Kirkland. We have big sponsors. This is we're really bringing in. We're raking in the dough in this podcast.
Right on. All right, let's do a quick back pedal. Very quick back pedal.
I could talk about a race later because we got
Or
Matt
should
for
we-
a short
you
time.
know what?
Let's do back pedal later. Let's do a forward
we're
pedal
gonna do
later.
that later. Matt's short on time today. Matt's a busy dude. He's in high demand.
That is
Yes.
important.
When
Much
you're
more
good at
important
computer
than the rest
stuff,
of us.
when you can turn on computers good and type into them real smart, you're in high demand these days.
Yeah, so we're gonna do something that we normally do once a month today.
So hot, you gotta listen naked.
The hot seat's back, you guys. The monthly hot seat.
I'd prefer to be naked at this moment.
Matt probably isn't wearing pants. Isn't that like a thing that you do with like video calls now? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're totally optional, and I choose not to wear them.
And I choose to not.
That's awesome. All right, so we'll wrap up today with the the backpedaling stuff, and maybe that Champ Bailey guy will come in at some
Which
point.
technically, if you think about it, by the name backpedal, it would make sense if we actually did it toward.
at the
Yeah,
end.
Maybe that's a new thing, Evan.
maybe that is. Well, I'm just saying, like, yeah, because a backpedal is usually like you do it at the end and be like,
Yeah.
oh, we're backpedaling now.
Hey,
Why don't we do that? Well,
that,
you
that
know
might
what?
be a thing.
There we go.
That way people don't have to listen to us blabber on for 30
That's
minutes
true.
about stuff before we
Yeah.
get to the topic. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's even 45 minutes. Anyway,
Most of our listeners would probably appreciate that.
so the hot seat question, for those that have never heard the hot seat before, we each bring a question to the table and we ask the other guys at the table to answer said question. But the thing is nobody knows what they're going to ask. So you're kind of on the hot seat to give your opinion or your 2 cents. And Evan's going to start us off today. Go
I'm
for
going
it.
off. Lance and Jake already have a little feed into this, but Matt does not. So this last weekend, this is inspired by triathlon, but this question will go to track and cycling as well. So this last weekend, there was the sub-7, sub-8 attempt in triathlon, which basically was a race, I guess you could call it, in Germany that was a group of 2 male and 2 female professional triathletes who tried to go under 7 hours for the men in a full Ironman and under 8 hours for the women. All 4 completed it. There was a lot that goes into it. There was a lot of drafting on the bike, obviously was allowed. But it was it's pretty amazing to watch how fast the sport's gotten. My question, I care about these things, but I don't think most people do. Does the average person or even fan of endurance sports care at all about time trial efforts? So that includes your indoor track cycling, the hour record in track, even as Matt knows, like kind of mile attempts, like when you get like a full pace line in a race where the goal of the race is, hey, we're running a fast 5K time or we're running a fast mile. Does your average fan care, and should they?
All right, starting because I don't like this question in the way.
Your question
Even
sucks,
better.
Evan. Let me be honest.
The premise of the question pissed me off because here's the thing: you're associating the sub-7 attempt and the sub-8 attempt with things that are actually relevant and actually important.
Okay, that's a good point.
That's actually that's a very fair point.
Like, well, the hour record on the track. I mean, people love that. People care about it. Like, I think all of us think it's a prestigious event.
Yes.
All the world records from track and field in the distance events are pretty much kind of like set up with that stuff in mind. And those runners are running those distance. They're not, basically like in the back of, it's not like cycling pace line, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
that's not, you're not really doing anything except for running a marathon. This sub-8, sub-7 thing was just a marketing game. And I just don't know if it meant anything at all. So I will say that my answer is not like, yes, those things that are set up matter, or no, they don't. It depends on the event. Like, if they did some sort of hour record with like a pace line of people, I don't think that would matter as much as like the hour record on the track with like, you have,
All by himself. Yeah.
Yep.
by yourself. You don't have a pace line for it. So I think that the sub-7, sub-8 project came and went. I didn't even turn it on. I did look at the results because I was curious. And the results made it even less important because the results were like both guys, they sat in the time. There was almost like one crash that was kind of interesting, but like,
Yeah.
both girls that attempted both made it because they have this massive pace line. I think it really comes down to that bike pace line, right?
Yeah.
They flew on the bike.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
that's a night and day difference.
So here's my question: What's the record for a bike split in an Ironman non-drafting?
I think like Andrew Starkowitz still holds it, and I think it's 4 hours flat.
Like
I think,
somewhere around 4 hours.
Yeah, like right around 4 hours.
And-
And this is, and like you said, even off microphone, you nailed it, is who cares, because there's so many factors that play into an
Yes.
Ironman.
Yes.
This isn't a track where it's like, hey, let's literally make sure we're all at the same air pressure here. This is
It's kind of amazing that the bike split. Christian Blumenfeld went 3:20 3:20 or something like that.
Yeah,
on
and
the
then Joe
bike.
Skipper went like
And Joe Skipper went 3:16.
Yeah, 3:16.
3 hours and 16 minutes for 112 miles. What was that average?
Well, he had Alex Dowsett in his pace line.
Basically, they had pace lines on
Professional pace lines.
So they freaking ripped it.
Yeah.
They went so fast.
I was just more impressed. I was like, wow, man, a team time trial of elite Olympic athletes can go really, really fast. Like they averaged 54, 55K an hour, which
what
is
is
like
that?
33 miles an hour.
33 miles an hour for 3.5 hours.
Now, Matt, I think Matt is 100% on with this. I don't care because I think it was a marketing ploy. But the one crazy thing that I found from that is Joe Skipper's power profiles. He still had to hold 285 normalized power for the entire the entire thing, just to hold how fast they were going.
Okay, so Starkey's record, like in Ironman competition, is 354 in Texas.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay, he broke 4. My bad.
I'm reading that wrong, but still, like, what did they lopped off an hour basically, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous.
That's amazing. And well, then they backed it up with the 2:30 marathon.
Nobody's
and a 2:35 marathon.
denying. Well, nobody should be denying. Christian Blumenfeld is far and away the best triathlete that's ever lived right now. He is insanely strong, and if he continues to get better and better, who is going to beat this guy? I mean, I know Matt always gets on me because I just love playing the devil's advocate of like, Jan's done. But the day that Jan finally uninjures himself and decides to race this guy, Christian's still going to win. Christian is dumb fast right now.
It's wise for him to be like, and I retire.
Yeah, no, if I was Jan at this point, I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to go out when I was like still considered the GOAT, and I don't want to be tarnished by getting smoked by this kid right now.
What about Alistair Brownlee? You think he should probably not toe the line against Blumenfeld anytime?
Alistair should be done just for his own mental and physical health. That poor guy has been. I mean, Alistair Brownlee, in my opinion, will still go down as the best one-day racer of all time. But I mean, he just needs to hang it up. It's been a rough couple of years for him.
The times that this thing were unfathomable.
mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing.
Also,
Skipper averaged just under 34 miles an hour. 34 miles an hour for 3 hours and 16 minutes.
This is the one thing from this. I completely agree with Matt, but I think that everybody understands how fast Joe Skipper and Christian Blumenfeld are on the bike. I hope everybody gets an appreciation that is to hang in that pace line. Don't any Cat 3s out here like anybody pretend that you could stay in that pace line was still moving.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I mean, think about it. You are the last guy in an 8-person pace line holding 300 watts.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's how fast these guys. That means the front of that line's probably putting out 450, 460.
That's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, just crazy
But
speeds.
to answer your question, no,
No,
I don't care.
I don't care either.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this was
Do you want to know why?
interesting.
Matt, tell me if I'm
Barely.
right here. Tell me if I'm right, and then we'll ask for Jake's opinion, because I just realized we did not ask for Jake's opinion yet. I think the reason we like time trials is because it's a man versus yourself or woman versus themselves.
Correct.
Battle.
Yes.
And yes, you're fighting a time.
And you can relate to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can see it in their face. There's this intensity. There's this one-on-one. You know, there's nothing cooler than watching a high schooler in a pace line go for a sub 4 minute. You know, that's like you can see it's this all-out effort. The indoor, I mean, even though they're all masked up with their big helmet and everything, you can tell the effort that's going into that. That's why I care about the hour record. This thing, I don't even know what this thing was. This was a
Great publicity stunt.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, it was
exactly.
Phoenix did good marketing
Okay,
for 7 hours.
And they did it. I mean,
Yeah, mission accomplished. You guys are
Christian
talking about it right
Blumenfeld,
now.
He
Yeah.
went 6:44. I mean,
still
for
fast.
an Ironman.
So fast.
Yeah.
That's stupid fast.
And anybody who thinks that, oh, well, they were drafting on the swim, it's like, yeah, but that barely helps you a little bit. Like, you still got to swim fast. But
It's the bike. I mean, you knocked off 45 minutes on the
exactly.
bike, and then you got to be able to back it up with a 2:30 marathon.
Monster marathon.
Do you know how hard it is,
Dude.
That's
What's your fastest IM?
my fastest Ironman was 10:20.
what was your marathon there? Do you remember?
My marathon was 3:58,
So he
and
was,
my fastest open marathon was 3:15.
yeah.
Cool to see what the human
crazy.
body is potential,
Yeah.
what its potential is, and what it can do.
Same thing with
That's
Kipchoge's
amazing.
record. I mean, it was kind of like that sub 2 hour type feel to it.
I'd rather watch people duke it out on Strava for a segment, to be completely honest with you.
Well, it's only 2 minutes instead of 6.5 hours.
Well, it depends, but yeah.
That's not fair because I'd rather watch that than most other things anyway. So that's
We were just talking about it yesterday. I went out and did the ride out in Washougal, and we were talking about the Triple Crown with one of the newer teammates that wasn't familiar with it. It was his first ride out into Washougal, and we're just talking about the Triple Crown and like comparing war stories.
like
and
guy bands going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I get more enjoyment out of that. Or like watching the guys duke it out for Mount Lemmon down there. That was cool.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes, that was very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. No comment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, to me, it was. I think there's a meme account I follow that put it perfectly. They were like, triathlon thinks it's relatable to watch really ridiculously fit people do really ridiculously fit things. Is basically it. They're like, no, nobody cares. Like this is
How much did Mother Nature play into this?
Basically, there was like no weather effect at all.
They were like on a racetrack.
They were on an actual F1 track.
They did loops on a racetrack, so it was closed course, smooth. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean they took everything they could to make it as fast as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Nobody cares. Yeah. It's cool.
Right.
I mean, like I watch that and I'm like, wow, they are fit.
I do appreciate the hour record. I think that's a fantastic
I think
thing.
it's wonderful.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Anything else on that?
We already talked too much about it.
Matt thought it was a dumb question.
Mr. Matt LeGrand.
Joe.
Did you happen to come up with a question yet, or do you have something else to say?
Your question wasn't a dumb question. It was just muddled with like, you were like, now, do you not like the Olympics? And, you know,
Would you say that a marketing stunt is as important as the mile in the Olympics?
It's funny.
now there's some things that we all don't like the Olympics and the Sub-8 project. I'm like, don't tie those together. They need to be.
All right, Matt, go.
My hot seat question for you guys, if you're ready for this.
Go.
That's hot.
What?
That's hot. That's hot. That's hot.
Timely.
What price is too expensive for a bike computer?
What price is too expensive for a bike computer? That is a really good question.
Oh, we can go me first because if we're gonna go higher prices, I'll start at our low bar. I'll set our prices right, like under target here. I think anything over. Now I'm thinking into the future here. So I'm thinking like as prices continue to increase and increase, I would never pay over 800. Is as much as I will ever pay.
For a bicycle computer?
Yeah. That's as much as I will ever pay.
What kind of cool things is this $800 bike computer
That's a
going to do
lot.
for you?
I know, but I'm saying I'm
Because
looking into the future here. I'm thinking of my absolute cap as to what I would spend.
We pay
$1,000 for a phone.
for a cell phone, but we use this
For
every day.
But I'm
500 different things.
anticipating that our bike computers are going to be pretty darn similar. Could you imagine if somebody told you one day you'd pay $1,000 for a phone
No.
like 10 years ago? Yeah. So I'm thinking into the future, I will never in my life pay more than $800.
Do you guys get those reports of how many hours you spent on your phone each week?
I don't,
From Apple?
and I don't want to know.
Just
that
delete
$1,000
report.
price tag starts to make a lot of sense when you look at that.
terrifying
Like,
amount of
oh my
time.
God. And then it starts breaking it down by app, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So to answer Matt's question, what is a price tag that is too much?
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't pay over $500 for anything. I just
right
don't
now,
think
yeah.
I don't think it provides that much more detail. Like maybe if my bicycle stuff changed a little bit and I was doing like long tours and I needed I was bike packing and I needed it to be, solar or something along those lines, or I don't know, anything like that would cause the price tag to go up, I might consider paying a little bit more, but there's means to an end there when you can think about like putting a battery pack on something and charging it up, whatever, in a reasonable amount of time. I just don't think that paying more than $500 is reasonable. I really like the computers right now that are $300. I think those are the ones that I lean towards. Those are the ones that I gravitate to. And I know that there are certain things like a large screen that people have a hard time seeing, and you're going to pay a little bit more of a premium for that. Or if you want touch screen on there, you're going to pay a little bit more for that. And that starts to put you into that $400 to $500 range for some computers, $600 for some. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. I to each their own. But for me, that sweet spot is no more than $500 right now. $300 is perfect. Could be less.
I'm probably not a good one to ask because
You get a lot of use out of your computer.
I do get a lot of use on my computer, and
You're going to pay more.
and I have disposable income.
Yeah.
So what it costs doesn't matter to me a whole lot. It depends on the size and functionality of it. But
What would be your absolute cap then?
dude, I when you said $800, that seemed ridiculous. I
Really?
wouldn't want to pay $800 for a computer.
Oh,
I
neither would I.
want to pay
Never would.
$500 for a
I am trying to see into the future because I'm going to replay this conversation to us in 10 years when all of a sudden bike computers are like going to be
Inflation
what?
keeps going.
It's
I
gonna
know,
keep,
this-
it's gonna keep
I'm
changing.
going to have to eat those words one day when I probably pay $1,100 for a bike computer and be like, that was a good deal.
You wouldn't pay $400 for a rear-facing
Anything.
camera and radar device. We talked about this last week.
At what point in time do Garmin or Wahoo enter the cell phone market and all of a sudden have a cell phone enabled bike computer that
I
can,
feel like that would that be hard? I have no idea.
I don't know.
No clue.
I mean, they've got a lot of the other innards in there that are already doing a lot of.
But I would imagine that's a pretty dog-eat-dog industry.
I think it's
I would think
it's
the
too
cell-
dominated by Apple
Right.
and Samsung and Google. I mean, they're
Yeah.
just they're
Those are
too big.
big
They're
players.
I mean, those are some of the biggest companies in the world. How does Garmin compete with that on the cell phone market? I don't know.
Even much less Wahoo, right? Like, there's just no way they have the scale to do something like that.
Yeah.
I actually think Evan's answer was very smart, forward thinking, because the way he phrased it was like looking into the future. Yeah, $800 is a price that sounds crazy now, but like in the future you could see it being possible, especially if you think about our cell phones being $1,000.
Well, and then also, Matt, and you might have more of an inside track of this, is how many of these different things we've been talking about are probably in the future just going to get integrated into just a bike computer? Like the Varia function, the power meters, even. I mean, like they're just going to eventually just all integrate into one seamless bike computer that maybe even, just like does a lot of these functions that we pay separately for at some point.
It's hard to know what technologies they'll develop going forward, so it may be easy for us to spend more money when there's some alluring technology.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Hold on a second, I gotta fix that. But keep talking.
Yeah.
Somebody's calling Jake, and
Somebody's calling.
we don't
Oh, yeah,
want
that's
to lose
fine.
Matt. So
There you go. Okay. That's Matt
I can
calling us.
drop. You guys have already answered the most important question of all time. So
There you go.
which is
Matt just
nobody
needed-
cares
Matt-
about sub 7.
Matt just needed content for his YouTube video. He's like, all right, guys, what would be the most you'd pay for this? Okay, good. That's all I needed.
What's the most you would pay, Matt?
well, so I think the sweet spot right now is like $400 for. I'm saying the exact opposite thing of Evan, right? Where it's like right now, I think that high-end computers, whether you look at like Wahoo's top-of-the-line computer is $380. The Hammerhead Crew is $400. Even like Garmin's is not their top-of-the-line, but their 800 series computer is $400. Brighton has their top-of-the-line computer. That's $400. Like to me, everything points towards $400. And so when you start looking at like $600, $700, $800, it seems outrageous. But that's like my like quick take on the subject matter, at current times. Looking forward, like Evan was looking forward into the future. Hard to say.
So you said that's the sweet spot. Is that the most you'd pay?
Personally, if I was like real, it's hard because I have a lot of bike computers. But if I was just buying one, I would be like, what do I really need? Not like what I like want. What do I need? And I'm probably more falling in line with Evan, where it's like $200, $300. I'm good. It does what I need.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I think it's cool to have all those features, but I look at everything personally from a how does this affect my training aspect. And my training needs very little outside input. Like I more rely on like how I'm feeling. So I know that more data for me is not always more effective. And that's not for everybody. Like I coach people who like, even at very high levels, know like I'm driven by data. I like data.
Mm-hmm.
They would want more and more, a bigger screen, more options, more integration. For me, it's just, like if we even all went back to cat eyes, I'd be like, cool. That's great. I could deal with that.
Pretty much all of
Those three
Go ahead.
computers are right now. I will say that I would spend $300 or $400. I think because there's just a distinction there. There's like get everything you need for $300, or $400 gets you like some really cool stuff that would be, of interest to me, like the Hammerhead Crew.
Gotcha.
Oh, Matt, I've got a hilarious 2-second story for you. I have a ultra running patient who has a Casio as her primary running watch. Not making this up. Literally, I asked her, I was like, hey, what watch you use when you're out on the trail? She's like, to be honest, I only really care about the time that I'm out there. So I just use my Casio. And she shows me this Casio. I was like, I need you to watch a certain YouTube video. And
Did it have the calculator?
No, it did not. But she was joking. She's like, that would be nice to have a calculator out there. I'm like, you should get this watch. I know a guy who reviewed it.
Yes.
Funny.
when you got the battery working in those, it's like, no, the battery doesn't go for like a week or two. It's like this thing goes for months.
Yeah, exactly.
And, it doesn't do tests or give you your heart rate, but you don't need that stuff.
No.
Just go run.
Casio was the original ultra runner's watch. I don't know why we ever went away from that.
Gotcha.
I think like those Timex watches were fantastic.
Yes.
So currently, right now, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, the Garmin 1030 Plus at $600 is the most expensive bike computer on the market, correct?
Currently, as of this recording, yes.
As of this recording. Is there anything in that particular device that you think we might be missing out on that we should be thinking about paying an extra, $200-300 for to have, other than the fact that it's got a little bit bigger screen for the folks out there that are having a hard time seeing the small numbers? What else is on that computer that's going to be all that much better? It's not necessarily going to provide more metrics or detailed information, correct? The mapping might be a little better.
Yeah, no, so when your maps are bigger, you may get some different resolution, but really, no, there's not a lot there that's $200 better than, like a Hammerhead Karoo, in my opinion. In fact, the Hammerhead Karoo has some cool features that $600 computer doesn't have. So it's hard to say. And the market is currently, in flux and changing, as we speak. And so it's just one of those things where I'm very curious about where that top end is and what would basically like make us a little sick price wise to see, whenever we see like a Rolex rolling around, like, gosh, you spent this much money on a watch that you're just going to wear on your wrist. Like, that's just not, fine. It's good for you. That's cool. Not me. That's, we're all different. So
yeah, gotcha. Cool. Well, that's a good question. I like that.
I like that question.
Curious to see if that price tag, that price mount, that $600 gets tested.
It will be.
All right. Lance, would you like to go or would you like me to go first?
You go first.
I will go next.
My question sucks.
All right, guys. We all like to ride bikes here, right?
Yes.
What are, we'll say, your 3 favorite exercises to do off the bike that help you with your cycling?
So easy.
I've got 2 of the 3
I don't
already.
understand the question. I don't understand. What are you talking about? Is there stuff we're supposed to be doing off the bike? I don't get it.
Do no stinking workouts. I just ride my bike.
I'll answer this first while Lance has to delve into his memory as to what he used to do before he rode his bikes all day. So, swimming and running. So for me, my 3 one. I actually like to keep. There's a guy I follow who's a great strength training PT. His name's Dr. Andy Chen, and he is great at. He's starting a movement of trying to simplify strength training for people. Mm-hmm. We had a long time period where Jake probably knows there was a period in the 90s and the 2000s where we loved to overcomplicate things that needed to not be overcomplicated. Mm-hmm. But my personal favorite is very simple: slow eccentric squats, box jumps, and single leg bounding. The end. That's if I was to give people 3 things, you're like, hey, I want to be a faster runner, or hey, I really want to work on like my spiciness on the bike. I want to improve my sprint. Cool. Get better at loading under tension and get better at your spring. Those 3 things. And then you just basically take them and whatever person they're level at, you can do different adaptations. You can bring them down. You can bring it up. All
so
that.
Being that this is a mostly cycling podcast, not running, would you say that those translate well to cycling as well?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and then probably for cycling, I would do like a lateral step up with like super heavyweight.
Because we're very linear in what we like to do. So
yeah.
Good.
Actually, what I would say is go ice skate.
Go ice? There
no lie. It would be
hips, yeah.
it would be do anything in a lateral plane, because as a cyclist, whenever anybody's like, I want to get better in this plane, I was like, what, do you get paid in this plane? No. So you need to do something side to side. So
can I cruise around on my 80s roller skates?
Actually, yeah.
Ride
roller skating would be perfect. Cross country skiing would be awesome. Ice skating, soccer.
Sweet.
Basketball would be perfect. Yeah.
How about you, Matt? You still there? You got some exercises for us?
Yeah, I'm just gonna, whatever Evan tells me to do is definitely like the right.
Well, I'm just kind of thinking it's
Matt, did you ever play pickup sports outside of running when you were like what were your sports outside of running?
soccer for a while.
Yeah.
I loved playing basketball, but I was not very good. And it was like such a cool thing when I was younger, like really kind of like getting close to Ethan's age, where it was like we just played basketball.
Whatever. Yeah. Oh my God, pickup basketball is like the thing back, and I love that.
Gotcha.
But now I don't do anything. So sadly, you got open water, you've got pool swimming, you've got running,
open water swimming.
That's 3 good ones for you there. Stand-up paddle actually really fun.
We should do a dialed podcast pickup 2-on-2 basketball game, and then our Patreons can bet money on who would win.
I would break into so many parts.
Oh yeah, we'd be all terrible. It'd be the most pathetic game of basketball you'd ever see.
Hepler.
What was the question? I quit listening when Evan started talking.
What are the 3 best Monster Energy drinks to drink when you're off the bike?
I want to get better at biking. Okay, we should do some strength. No, I don't want to do that though.
Every time I try to do something off the bike, I implode myself.
You massively overdo it, I think was the rest of that sentence.
Even when I like ease into it, I end up on my back.
You ease into it.
There's been a few times where I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this smart. I'm going to do it right. And then it doesn't work for me. So
you did yard work.
Yeah.
It's off the bike. That's strength.
Actually, the things that I do that aren't biking related is hiking and walking through gravel beds looking for rocks. So rock hounding and hiking, those are the 2 things that I do.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, you got denied.
I was going to try and give him some credit on this. But
I don't do anything. But also,
the rocks
I don't
like
take this very
house.
seriously either. So there's a big part of that.
Planks.
Yep.
TRX rows for the back.
And rowing. You love the
And
ergometer
rowing
right
too,
now, which
yeah.
I think is awesome.
And just different angles of lunges. Those are the things that I think.
Anything just add that linear.
If I were
plane.
to just have the 3, and if I did those, I think I'm going to be doing pretty decently well. So.
And like we talked about in here too, yard work. I genuinely, I have athletes who will tell me they're like, oh, I need to do some strength training, but I know they do a ton of yard work on the weekends, and I will tell them like, bang, there, that's it.
Send them over to my
That's
house.
it.
I'll take them
Seriously,
through full contact.
One of them's from Ohio.
Competitive.
You'd have to jump on a plane, but that's
paver stacking. Yeah, dude, I got so many different competitions.
But we joke about that in ultra running. It's not uncommon. I'm sure I know Matt kind of knows too, is there's an old joke, at least in the Midwest, that like some of the best ultra runners were no lie guys that were from farms. Like they lived on farms.
Oh, yeah.
And they are, time on feet all day, manual labor.
Yeah.
Running for 20 hours is not a big deal to them.
That's why my beloved Nebraska Cornhuskers are so good at football back in the Back
Just
in the day,
boys.
they're a little soft now. Well, not soft, but
Yeah.
But those guys back in the day, though, throwing hay bales and wrestling cows.
320-pound boy who's been that big since he was like 12.
Exactly. But yeah, do some strength training, folks. All of these things that you heard here are good for you off the bike, and it's not something that takes a lot. The things that I threw out there, I said you have to do some TRX rows. There's different ways to do rowing to engage the back, and the things that Evan threw out, though,
Pull-ups.
those are all free pull-ups. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff that you should be doing off the bike. I need to get back into doing that a little bit more.
I do too. I'm only doing like 1 day a week of actual strength work, honestly, and that's it.
In recent months, how we've been talking about like loss of motivation, no desire, this, that, and the other.
It's nice to mix this stuff. It's something else to focus on.
I had something go off inside of me. I'm ready.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Was it the sunshine or was it just...
It might have been the sunshine. I don't know what it was.
I was just thinking that today when I got outside. I was like, wow, I want to do this. And I was like, was it because it's been nonstop raining since...
A couple things triggered it, and I think I'm ready to give it a good go again. So, but anyway.
Can we convince you to come out to a road race in 2023?
Maybe even 2022.
2022?
I'm thinking about
That'd be awesome.
Kings Valley, so we'll see.
Date on Kings Valley?
It's in August, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll probably be able to come out then.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It's the state championship road race.
Oh, it is this year? Kings Valley is?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, anyway. Lance.
Yeah.
Go, Lance.
What's your question, bud?
Okay, my question is kind of timely. Aero bars in gravel,
Yeah,
yes
I was
or
hoping you
no?
were going to bring this up. No, I'm going to be the triathlete who
You're
says
gonna be
no
the
on
triathlete
this.
that says
There's
no.
a reason. They used to be allowed in the Tour de France too. The UCI used to allow aero bars. It was like in the 80s, I think.
Sure.
In the 80s, they were clip-on aero bars that they allowed. You want to know why they took them away? Because there were a million crashes. Because you had idiots in the peloton sitting there.
That makes things fun to
with
watch.
Aero bars. Yeah, exactly. Makes it way more interesting when your GC guy's laying on the ground with like, why'd you crash? He's like, oh, well, I lost the front wheel of the guy in front of me.
For some context, at Unbound Gravel, aero bars are allowed. There was kind of a gentleman's agreement amongst the top pros that they weren't going to use aero bars.
Which I only just found out through those recent articles they were talking
Yeah.
about, which to me was hilarious that these guys were like, hey, man, we're not going to use aero bars.
Although some of the leading pros still use the mini short aero bars, like Stetna used short
Do you
aero
want to know
bars.
who else did? The current gravel Peloton's least popular player, Colin Strickland.
Oh, Colin Strickland wasn't there.
I know he wasn't, but he was a guy who was using
He was using them,
aero
yes.
bars for a short bit. I wonder
Yes.
now how not popular that was.
Yes. And actually the winner, we'll get to that. He actually was on aero bars as well. He's a Dutch guy, Ivar Sleek. So
Lawrence Tendam threw down some stern words about aero bars.
he
Yeah.
was.
Don't need no effing
Yes,
aero bars.
exactly what he said. He
In
says,
that exact tone, too, I believe.
he
Yeah.
said, this aero bar BS is what
Yeah.
he said.
Yeah.
We don't need to be doing it. Still, some of the guys used shorter ones. I don't know. These are World Tour pros that have some bike handling skills, so seeing them on aero bars, I'm kind of cool with that. I'm okay with that. But they make an agreement that they weren't going to do it. Some races don't have them. Chad Sperry's events, they are not allowed. So the Gorge Gravel Grinder, the Cascade Gravel Grinder, Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder, they are not allowed. Aero bars aren't allowed. So some race promoters just tend to say, no, that's not part of the deal. But Unbound, they allowed them.
Why would they allow them? What's their rationale behind it?
The rationale
Saying, yeah, go
behind
for
it is Unbound is a 200-mile race. It only had about 9,000 feet of climbing, so it's generally flat. I know that doesn't sound flat, but that's flat for
Over
200 miles.
absolutely.
It's kind of rolling. There's only a few. It tends to be very windy out there, although this wasn't a windy year. So the aero bars can cut down on the time you're out there kind of significantly. So that's the point in having them. And
Want to get people off the course sooner?
yes, that's part of it. I mean,
I think too, though, and this is, yes, these guys are at the front of this field, very, very skilled riders, but being somebody who spends a lot of time in the aero position, I know there is a skill set with the bike handling that comes with in that position. And even if you're a guy who rides 15, 16 hours a week and you're a Cat 1 guy and you're maybe in that second chase pack at Unbound and you're still strong, yeah, I get that your bike handling's good, but I've known and ridden with enough Cat 1, Cat 2 guys to know that it does take time to get comfortable in that position. And 150 miles into the race, a fast guy thinking, hey, I can get into this position, I think can be a little bit dangerous. It can be.
well, clip-on aero bars are also different than a time trial bike.
They
a
are.
time
And
trial
I've
position.
I've ridden both, and I do like the clip-ons better,
Yeah.
but it still is. I mean, you know, it's a different handling
It is
mechanism.
definitely
Yeah.
different handling. Yeah.
And I just think if you get a lot of guys that are throwing those on, and maybe they're like, yeah, you know, I heard that he's making me faster in the winds. Yeah, without realizing that, like, no, you need to train that position. It's a completely different motor pattern. You need to train that position, and they don't. Then, yeah, I could see how for a race organizer, I'd be like, I don't want you guys throwing these on. I don't trust you.
Do they ever throw out any stats as to how many crashes? I mean, there's going to be crashes every year.
The Tour de France took them away because of the crashes.
But Unbound, I mean,
Unbound, but I have no
have
idea.
they released any data
No.
so that we can kind of quantify whether or not
No
it is a
idea.
true problem? I mean, I saw a little race recap. It was like a little 6-minute segment. There was a crash on Flow Sports YouTube channel.
That was in the first 25 miles.
And it was like minor. It was just probably wheel touching, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't have anything to do with aero bars.
Or you just hit it. It had nothing to do with aero bars. That had to do with hitting rocks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it can happen anyway. Yeah.
It was a group of 100 cyclists
Yeah.
all together, so you don't see the line in front of you. So you're going to hit something eventually, or rub somebody's wheel. You're on gravel, so
That's the primary reason I'm not too excited about gravel racing.
The point is like that's exactly where I was going with that. Is like it wasn't from the aero bars.
wasn't.
So
Yeah.
are there a bunch of crashes? Is this a phenomenon that we just don't know about? That there's tons and tons
It
of
could be. I mean, I don't know.
don't know.
I would. I mean, like I completely agree with you. And Lance is like, this is not the top guys that it's an issue with. I'm sure. I mean, any world tour guy's going to be able to handle.
Another
that
question
position.
is, why did they make this gentleman's agreement not to use aero bars? Is there somebody that thinks they're dumb and then they started this whole thing? Everybody just went
It's
along
like
with
a purist
it.
thing. I think it's got to be a purist thing.
I think there were probably a few of the more vocal pros, like laid it down and said, "Hey, idiots!
Yeah.
Nobody's using aero bars. Don't use them. I know that they're legal, but let's all do this the same. Let's all do this together. Let's not use aero bars."
Why can't they just say, let's do this the same and let's all use aero bars?
They could
The
have.
bigger
I'm just curious
question-
what their rationale is. Are they thinking it's dangerous? Is it a problem, or
The bigger question here too to me is this is Gravel's. So Gravel had a big increase in popularity here recently. Now I think we're seeing a symptom of that where, it's like when Peter Sagan comes to this race now, all of a sudden you're getting a lot of now media attention around these races.
Yeah.
And I think it's exposing a real weakness of Gravel right now is that there's no cohesiveness.
Yeah.
Or there's cohesiveness, but it is in the very early stages of cohesiveness.
Sure.
So, you think about as much as we complain about the UCI, at the very least, the UCI, when they come down with an edict, it's, hey, all UCI road races this year do not get in the Super Tuck.
Yeah.
Everybody complains about it, but what's the rule? Don't get in
No
the Super Tuck.
Yeah.
Gravel does this, and now all of a sudden you got to go to the race and probably look at and trust me, I've sat in these pro meetings before triathlons where it's like, the questions some of the pros ask are hilarious because you get the race organizer with like the deer in the headlights where he's like, oh crap, I don't know that rule. I'm sure that now at every single pro briefing before the races, these type of questions are going to be just fired at the race directors. And if there's not cohesiveness within Gravel, that's just a race to race thing. What if a guy shows up with Aero bar clip? He's like, well, I've been planning my entire race around knowing that, I'm going to be using this.
Yeah, but these pros, you got to know the rules going in, and each
You do,
each,
but they
each,
don't usually.
Each race is different and has different rules. Just like outside support at Unbound, you could not have any outside support from anybody other than incorporated with the race, except for the fact there were 2 spots where you could have a pit crew help you out.
Yeah.
And so you could choose not to have a pit crew and use the neutral stuff, but you could have a pit crew
at 2 spots. Otherwise, there was
2 spots.
Their
Otherwise,
people and their oasis or water oases.
there was water stops
Yeah.
where you could stop.
I think you'd be surprised too by how many. Yes, they should know the rules. I think you'd be shocked by how many pros come in very underprepared.
That's probably true, too.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Like everybody at this table, and including Matt, would go to these races very prepared, knowing the rules. If you're 24 and you've been a pro cyclist your entire life, there's a good chance that you come in, you're like, wait a minute, I'm not allowed to
Well, if I'm traveling all the way to Kansas,
I'm going to read the rules
do
before-
a 10-hour race or a 14-hour race in my case, I need to know if I need to have Brandy at mile 160 and at mile 80 to help me out, or if I'm just going to go at it by myself.
But gravel is at its very infancy as a pro cycling sport.
Yeah.
So understand a lot of these guys who, let's say they're in their mid-20s or even late 20s, these guys have been around team settings on the road for a while to where none of those decisions had to be made by them. It was sit in the team bus and boom, the guy's up there with, hey, we're doing this, this, and this. They're in their ear all race, telling them exactly what's going on. Now, all of a sudden, they travel to this race in Kansas. They might not even speak the language. And they get
they have
here.
to pump up their tires.
And they're like, and they're like, wait, where's the bottle hand ups?
Don't get me started.
Where's the bottle hand up? What are you talking about? Where's my bidon?
How much air do I put in my tires? I don't even know.
Exactly.
Where's the flat kit?
I mean, we're assuming that this 24-year-old Dutch guy, I'm not saying the guy won the race, but I'm just saying, let's just say a 24-year-old Dutch guy comes over and has light English at best, comes to Kansas and is like, comes with what? His like cousin as his bike mechanic. He's like, I don't know what to do. So
That's a good question.
I think gravel is in its infancy of getting organized, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
But no to the aero bars.
No to the aero bars.
Also, from the purist point of view, it's like I kind of agree with Lawrence Van Dam on this. It's like
I'm
just
cut it.
race your
Just
bike.
don't
like
do
it's
it.
just bike.
Just no aero
it's-
bars for anybody.
Yeah. I mean, have you guys ever ridden on the aero bars that they use on these gravel bikes?
No.
It's a completely different position than the TT bike that you're used to because it's
Oh, it's very crunched up.
it's crunched up, but your saddle's always it's farther back anyway. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
The short handlebar, I actually loved. I raced a season where I put those on my road bike for triathlons, and I thought that they were awesome. I loved it because I loved that like real crunched up position. Now, granted, I could only hold it for like 20 miles at most, but
I don't think I'll be putting anything on my gravel bike anytime soon.
it's not a super comfortable position. Yeah.
See, Lance is going to show up to our Tuesday gravel floggings. Or gotta come up with better names.
Full-on aero
bars.
On your mountain bike.
Randy Frost has a mountain bike that he has aero bars on.
Aero bars
it.
on?
Yes.
Good for you, Randy. Good for you, Randy.
It's a hardtail, that he
Awesome.
It works. I think that's all of our questions.
All right, good.
It's
Backpedal
weird
time?
that we're too early in this to have this already be done. Matt Legrand, are you still there?
Yes,
Hey, buddy.
still here.
Cool.
I'm heading out though, so I
All
got to the meat of the podcast, and I got to hear Lance's. I actually thought Lance's question was good, way better than mine.
So, Matt, if you had to rank the questions, go. Was I last?
Evan, yours is the worst of the worst. Like,
Laying down what's hot.
Maybe the worst hot seat question we've ever had. Matt was like offended by that question. I love that.
Hey, Matt, before you go, you want to do one last thing?
yes, video coming out on Wednesday. The hint for the video is that my hot seat question was in reference to the video that will be dropping. So should be Wednesday. And Evan, I will also take a last minute to say congratulations on your race.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Buddy.
I appreciate it, man.
Guten job.
I appreciate it. Matt, will you be able to be there Saturday maybe for our 5K, 10K? You can bring your bike if you want.
What are you doing Saturday?
It's our little 5K, 10K for our wedding.
Pre-wedding 10K.
Wedding day. It's a 5K, 10K. I thought it was just a 5K.
No. Apparently, Cassie put a 10K option, so I have to run 10K now. I wasn't planning that.
Matt, you can do the 1K with me while I walk.
Well, Lance, we can bike. Let's bike it.
Let's bike it.
Yeah.
That's even better.
You two get to be the lead bike because I think Mondo wants to race me or somebody wants to race me. So you two get to be the lead bike.
That would be fun.
Right on.
Yeah, I think we had a swim meet get canceled, so we're in for the wedding day 5K.
Nice.
I'll talk to the boss here and figure it out.
We got to race Ethan soon. I mean, it's already over. He's beating us, but maybe we race Sam now. Maybe Sam's our next target.
Sam's our next target.
Okay,
sure.
good. Yeah, Ethan's gone. He's
kids.
smoking us now.
Sweet. All right, Matt. Have a good
right,
rest of your day, bud.
later,
Thanks.
guys.
See you. Bye. All right. What do you guys want to do next?
What are we doing now?
Let's go in reverse order. So, I don't know. What do you think? Do you want to do, just going through my notes here.
Jake's in charge. He gets to choose.
Which one? Let's see.
Bailey.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we haven't done champ yet.
That's what we're going to do next.
Nice.
Having
Champ
fun.
Bailey is here.
Well, I'm bound. We already talked about that a little bit.
Nothing happened. Champ out. Okay, quickly, the Dauphiné what's it
the
called?
Criterium de Dauphiné started.
It started this weekend. The first stage was a sprint stage, and who won the sprint stage?
If you say Mark Cavendish, I haven't seen the results yet. Is it Mark Cavendish?
Wout van Aert.
Oh, nice. Okay, good. I'm glad that Wout won.
It looked like there weren't many sprinters.
Usually
in
when
it.
Wout wins a sprint stage, it means that it was kind of a skinny sprint stage.
And and it was like thick. There were like 50 people vying for it, and he just like powered
Wout's
through
still
it.
so fit. Yeah.
Wout still.
Can you imagine? This guy is so good for so many months. So many months.
He didn't do the Giro. So he took this last month off to
training to get ready for the
kind
tour.
of prep for the tour.
Yeah. Which makes, I mean, if the tour's your focus, there's no reason for you to be going to the Giro. So
Correct.
Good for him. My God.
So that was kind of exciting. And then we had this big gravel race, the Unbound gravel race. And it was not won by, well, people kind of knew who this guy was, but he's part of the Dutch gravel mafia that came over. So
was he a UCI guy before? I mean, was he a roadie before, or what is he?
Well, he's a Dutch guy. Him and like two Dutch buddies, they've been in the States for the last month, and they've been doing some of the local gravel races, and they came over to do Unbound specifically.
Yeah.
He was not on a world tour team. He was on a continental team that mostly did sand racing, like beach racing.
What?
So apparently this is a thing. There's like beach races in Holland.
This is why we can never just keep up with Europeans. They're always doing something harder than us.
They do like beach races.
We're over here like gravel so hard. These guys are like, we're going to race on sand. I can barely keep upright on sand.
So Ivar Slick, he's known as the Slickmeister. He is
Seriously?
That's what Lawrence Tendam called him.
Oh my God, this
because he knows all these guys. So he ended up winning. I actually woke up and started watching the race on Flow Sports. The footage of the race was atrocious.
I'm sure it was.
I hate to say it. When you get used to watching World Tour races and the coverage you get in World Tour races,
so bad otherwise.
And then they're trying to do something similar like in the States for this, and we just
It would be like me and you trying to go out.
Yes, it is. So I mean, they had
Did they try to do a drone thing for a little bit?
No, they did have a drone in certain spots.
Yeah.
But they had a Jeep with a satellite link up on it, like a big satellite antenna, but it just still wasn't it wasn't good enough. I mean, they didn't have like a follow plane. There's just not enough money in it yet.
No,
I guess that
no.
they can't do good coverage. So and then
I don't expect that gravel's ever going to be something I like flip on, and I'm like, man, can't wait to watch this gravel race. I love the idea of it, but I don't like the idea of watching it.
Dude, if you think about all of the gravel races here in the Pacific Northwest and how beautiful they are,
Yeah,
if you could flip on and watch those, and I don't know, it was maybe not a 200-mile, like
yeah.
11-hour
Yeah,
slog.
sure. If it's goes like a 50, 60 mile type race, I would.
That
I
could be
would
kind of
tune
fun
in.
to watch, just to see all the
Yeah, if it
beautiful
was like
stuff out there.
droning. I mean, if they did a good drone footage of it.
Backstories and stuff like that. Of different.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the craziest part about the coverage was it whittled down to a 5-man group. So there were 5 guys that came into the last 1.5K together. So they knew it was going to be a sprint. So 5 guys, and this is Ivar Slick, Keegan Swenson, Ian Boswell, Lawrence Tendam, Alexei Vermeulen. So
yes, these were the
5 like
the typical customers. Yeah, these were
big hitters.
These are your big guys.
But the finishing chute was like 3 blocks long, and it literally was like 2 bikes wide. It was very
Come
narrow.
on, Unbound.
what's the thought process there?
I think you don't expect to sprint with 5 guys. I think that's the thought process.
Well, gravel's going to need to adjust because these are world tour guys. They're not just going to let each other go.
They've got live coverage. They've got a camera on a boom over the top of the finish line, and the boom camera missed it.
What?
He didn't sweep fast enough. Like you didn't even see. You see him start to sprint, and then all of a sudden the boom camera just like, and it just like it misses like the finish.
Do you know how expensive it is to rent a boom? Really expensive.
Ladies and gentlemen, did anybody have an iPhone
Booms
that
are- yeah.
maybe was out at that time capturing the finish that we could use for our YouTube channel?
Do we tell you guys that about Ironman at Oceanside?
No.
So, okay, funny 5-second sidebar. At Oceanside, there was a sprint finish between Lionel Sanders and Rudy Von Berg.
Yeah.
So there was a big argument after that. Ironman does not have finish line technology for the same idea where they're like, oh, there's no way there's ever going to be sprint
Right.
finishes.
When are they gonna be a sprint?
Catch up to how fast these guys are getting now. Yes, there's always going to be sprint finishes now. Photo finish, you can see Talbot Cox takes a video. The Ironman announcer guy is hitting somebody and is pointing down to the finish line. No lie, guy goes down with his phone. This is for a $4,000 purse. Sits there right at the finish line and takes repeat photos of it. And that was their finish line technology to decide $4,000.
Not for nothing, the iPhone actually has a really
I think
nice
it's great,
slow
yeah.
motion feature on it.
But the point that Rudy Von Berg made was they didn't have a decided finish line.
That's-
Is it before the arch or after
Is it
the
after
arch?
the arch? Yeah. They had that issue at another race.
So I'm sure Unbound is probably going the same issue. Like,
Well, they
crap,
just
we
didn't,
hope this doesn't
they just didn't
come down
expect
to
it.
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
there was no doubt what the order was when they finished, but because the camera missed it, the live coverage was like, it took them like 15 minutes, no joke, to like make it official. Oh, this guy, they didn't know if Keegan Swenson won.
Oh, God.
I mean,
So describe that bit coming into the, what you said was 300 meters? Of
it was
the
3 blocks.
3 block, okay. And that was 2 bike
It was
lengths
2
wide?
bike lengths wide.
Were they mixing it up in there?
Yeah, yes. So one guy, I couldn't even tell. They were all so coated in mud.
Yeah,
that
you
you
can't
couldn't
tell.
tell
It's
who,
kinda funny. It's like
who was
Perry
who.
Roubaix. You have no idea
You
who's
couldn't
who.
tell who was who. But like just before they got into the finish chute, it was much wider. One guy attacked on a sidewalk and then bunny hopped into the road.
Nice.
I bet that was Keegan. My guess is that was Keegan.
Well, Keegan really was the by far favorite, but he just couldn't get away. It was just way too fast.
Yeah.
And then the 5 of them, they dropped one guy. They dropped Alexi. So the 4 of them just started they all started out of the saddle sprinting for like 2 blocks. And then you just couldn't tell who it was. And then you couldn't see who was who and where they were.
Were they
And
able
it
to
was-
cleanly move around each other? Or was
No.
it like getting held up because
Yeah,
of like,
whoever,
was it a barrier or was it tape?
It was the barriers. And so
It really gives you appreciation
the
for how
Dutch
good the
guy-
coverage is of the Tour de France.
It
at finish
does.
line. Yeah.
So the Dutch guy, Ivar, he got around everybody and sprinted he's a big, strong guy.
Sure.
And the
all
top
that
3
sand
guys, they all
training.
had the same time.
Yeah.
They just,
Yeah.
he out sprinted him. It was like a full bike length. It wasn't like it was a photo finish.
But it was bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
But it wasn't,
It just like missed it with the camera. It's like, come on.
I would have loved to be in the media tent. Let's be honest, it wasn't a room. The media tent after that. And you're like, did you get it? No.
Do you think
not even
Lifetime
close.
Sports renews with Flo?
Probably not.
Do you think somebody else steps up in their place?
I don't know. Who
outside
else can
TV.
step up?
GCN?
Outside TV is making a lot of moves in the endurance world right now. So
GCN would be better. Red Bull would be even better. They have by
Red Bull would be
far
awesome.
the best
Money.
like production team
And
for
money.
but they're not part of the thing.
Monster.
Oh, I'm playing with this. I'm playing with the mic, and Jake is
Well,
like
I've been,
smacking.
this entire time, Lance, I've been trying not to chew into this microphone. I'm staring at my Chex Mix right now, like, man, I want some Chex Mix, and you're over here tapping a microphone.
So Red Bull's not one of the sponsors in the Lifetime Grand Prix. They're not going to get picked. I mean, even though they have the best production company, so I don't know.
Not right
really.
now, they're not.
No.
But
who knows?
Yeah.
So, regardless, the race was pretty phenomenal. It was an hour faster than last year.
I thought you said it was an hour slower.
No, it was an hour faster than last year. So, interestingly enough, it had been wet all week beforehand, but race day, the reason it was faster is because it was like 61 degrees instead of 95.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It was like
makes a big difference.
perfect, like temperature.
Yeah.
And so for the first 5 hours, it was fast.
So I could have swore you said to me yesterday that it was an hour slower, and I was thinking to myself, "Yep, muddy roads, water crossings, all of the things that go into making a course slower." So it was faster, but
It was faster, but there was a deluge of rain that came in at about the 6 hour mark, and it lasted for about an hour.
Sure.
So they did get rain. There were a couple roads that completely mudded out, which were kind of crazy.
Yep.
How badly they mudded out, and the video footage of that was fantastic. Because guys carrying their bikes, and they had a motorcycle behind the women's leader who won. Who was the women's leader? I don't want to screw this up. Sofia Gomez Villafano.
Okay.
So she won by 10 minutes. So she obliterated the field. She was solo the whole day.
Yeah.
But they were following her, and she's a mountain biker. She won Cape Epic this year with her partner.
Wow.
So
Okay.
she's like super
Yeah.
good. But there were shots of her falling over and crashing and getting up and like fixing her chain and then running for a bit and then jumping back on and riding. And she's riding past all these other people who are walking or like have their bike on their shoulder and walking through the grass. It just got really muddy in some sections, and then it just opened back up. So that's why I think the temperature had the biggest to do with the fact that it was really quite fast. So
Right on.
it was a great race. It was pretty solid. It was a lot of fun, but I guess.
Well, in the spirit of time, we've got
let's roll.
people that need to do things and go places and
I
whatnot.
got 10 minutes. No worries.
Anything else,
No,
Champ?
out. We
Outro.
talked about the
Yeah.
criterium.
Sweet. Sorry. Had to
Do Dauphiné.
Yeah.
right up front real quick.
Well one.
All right. So I guess going in reverse order, let's backpedal this thing. This just
Backpedal
feels
it.
really unnatural.
Whoa. What are we drinking today, guys? Oh, we already said that. Okay, backpedal there.
Yeah, there you go. Evan, you raced
Yes.
backpedal.
And Jake was there too, which was a blast. As me and Jake are just basically partners at these triathlons
You're
here
on the clock.
now. Go. Okay. So we got race morning of the PDX Triathlon, which me and Josh have branded PDX Worlds. Because as cyclists like do their weekly, this is our local race that anybody who races here triathlon locally loves this race. It's been around for, I don't know, a super long time.
41 years.
41? Is that, oh my God. I think like that and Hag Lake are like two of the older Olympic distance triathlons in the country.
Yeah.
So awesome. I mean, we're talking the 41st anniversary. I won the race. I feel incredibly honored to be part of the history of this race because this is a very historical race in the region, and me feeling like I'm slowly becoming a Pacific Northwesterner. I still cannot call myself a Pacific Northwesterner yet, but I feel like this is slowly part of that process.
Yeah.
So we got there. It was supposed to rain. I was kind of bummed that it was supposed to rain because we got a bunch of like juniors racing this too. Are going to be like their first kind of triathlon.
Yep.
But that isn't a duathlon, like actual triathlon. I'm like, man, these poor kids have to practice every single Thursday. It rains nonstop, just every single Thursday. These poor kids have to practice. I'm like, can they just get a dry race? And they basically did get a dry race, except for like 5 minute period
There was a torrential downpour for about 5 minutes.
I was on the run at that point and literally was getting pelted to the point where I was like, oh my God, this hurts. Right? Like, I feel like I'm getting hit in the face.
When raindrops hurt, you know you're getting...
It was like 5 minutes and it was done. And then got very humid after that. But anyway, so Y has put this race on for a while. I'm not sure how long they've been the sponsor of Blue Lake Triathlon, but this year, unlike last year, it is back at Blue Lake, which is where it usually is. And so we were excited to kind of get back on that course. I wanted to go for the course record, but the bike had to get shortened because of, I think that they had to cut out a certain section because of permits. So the bike was only 21 miles, a little over 21 miles.
Instead of 26.
24.
24.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So it was like 2.5 miles short basically on the bike.
Okay.
Same swim course, same run course. The swim was definitely slow. We were all talking after. I'm not sure if that was conditions or whatever, but we're there race morning and we're getting ready. In my head, I'm going to be racing Josh Monda and John Brentonson today. Both, in my opinion, are the two best amateurs in the area. And I train with them. Obviously, you guys hear me talk about Josh all the time. So I was excited for that race. Mm-hmm. I did not know that one little Andy Kruger was going to be there, who beat me at PDX last year.
Yep.
And I'm walking out of transition, and there is Andy. And I'm like, crap. Andy is now 22, I think, young, 21 or 22, very young, and is really coming into his own as a professional triathlete now and is making me feel very old. So he just recently had great results at the LA Tri and St. A's, which are big-time pro races, and he was like 12th at LA Tri.
Wow.
So he is legit right now. Very fast. I'm like, this kid is going to beat me. So I get there, know that, okay, now I got to shift gears and plan on racing Andy.
It is PDX World, so I mean, it's
PDX World. He needs to be there, and he's also the defending champ. So I was hoping he was going to be there.
There you go.
So we get out to the swim. There is a longer story with this that I will not say for the back pedal, but I just want to give a highlight to. We raced yesterday, and that is fun, but there was a real couple heroes yesterday who saved a man's, I'll put it simple, saved a man's life with whoever was one of the last paddle boarders before the swim exit, the racer who's also a doctor, I'm not sure who he was, and a couple of the other paddle boarders, and then Carissa and the Y team responded in such an amazing fashion to a cardiac issue that happened with somebody at the end of the swim. We do not know who he was. Hope he's okay. We know he's alive.
Yes, and he's in stable condition.
Yeah, and in stable condition, which is next to a miracle. It was amazing. That last paddleboarder did something that is probably the most amazing thing I've seen at a race, period. Yeah. Like the fact that that person got to him in time before he drowned, got him on his paddleboard, got him to the shore, and immediately started CPR, saved that guy's life.
Yep.
So there were real heroes out there on Sunday. On a much less important note, we also did a race. So, but that's the really cool thing about the Y community was Carissa was able to shift gears from that situation to still holding the race, which I think was, I can't even imagine the amount of stress. Absolutely incredible.
You could see it on the staff's face after that happened that they were carrying a lot of stress.
God,
and it took quite a bit of time before those nerves calmed.
Yeah. I mean, that was all of us even around the start at that point. It was, we're all just like, oh, we got a race now.
What did we just see?
What did we just see? So we get out there. The race PDX always brings out a lot of fast people. So I knew the swim was going to be fast from the start. Andy gets out there and just blows our doors off for the first 400, gets the buoy first. I'm in the group I want to be in, hit the first buoy, turn, and then I realize, wow, this group is too fast right now. I cannot hang. I need to be able to hang, could not, and just had to steady into my own swim. Josh, who I know can swim faster, had to drop off me too because it's just the first 400 of that swim was really hard. And because we knew we were going to be chasing Andy. So we get out there, I get into my groove, get in, and I am basically the gap I thought I was going to be to Andy coming out of the water. I wish it was going to be less, but it was 3 minutes, which is a lot in an Olympic distance
3 minutes and 12 seconds.
3 minutes and 12 seconds. Somehow I move quicker through transition than him. If Andy's listening, what happened in your transition? Because you should be faster than this old guy for sure. And he's a short course guy. He needs to be faster in transition. He usually is. So we were a 3 minute gap going onto the bike. Unfortunately, Andy had a bike mechanical. So we did not get to have the battle I was hoping for.
What happened? Did he get flat?
I think he flatted. Yeah.
Okay.
He told me he flatted. Took him some time because, when we're all in tubeless, once you really flat, it's like kind of a rough situation.
Is he tubeless?
Yeah,
For sure?
I think he is.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, he ended up getting it fixed and getting out there, but he lost 5-6 minutes by that point. Your momentum's gone. So I'm chasing John Brentonson, who is a great swim biker. And just like John predicted, I caught him right at the turnaround, like literally at the turnaround, catch him. I had to push very hard into the wind going out, and then we're sailing back. I knew I had good bike legs all day. I was very lucky sometimes you just have those days. I just didn't feel the pedals all day. So I thought that was going to translate to great run legs too. I'm like, wow, I just really feel great. And my bike speed, if we had just taken the moving average and assuming we tack on 2.5 miles there and it's out on the fast part of the course, I would have been in the low 55s for a 40K, which is
fantastic.
That's a dream speed for me. That was where I want to be. And now I want to work on getting under 55 going into next year. But jumped out onto the run. Felt good through the first 5K, like I was moving, flipped around and did not have a good last 5K. So I held what I wanted for the first 5K. And then I think I have to be in race mode that second 5K, and I just was not in race mode. So, it was a good race. I would have, if the course had been longer, but we know what ifs, I would have had the course record and would have been right around that 154, 155 range for an Olympic.
Always next year.
Always next year. Always next year.
So I think you ended up winning by 2.5 minutes ish.
3 minutes, I think.
Was it 3 minutes?
148.34 to 151.29. So 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Well done, dude.
And that was, man, the coolest part of that race was John Brentonson and Josh Monda, who are good friends and we all train together, but they race each other hard. They really race each other hard. And Josh brought in John with a mile left. So you would think Josh is moving fast on the run these days and also had a stellar bike. Josh had a really stellar bike.
Yeah.
And John saved an extra gear and clicked into another gear that last mile and dropped Josh. So poor Josh lost by 10 seconds to John,
it was
the
close.
guy who he wants to beat.
We were standing. It felt like talking to you forever at the finish line.
Yeah.
Where is everybody else? Evan came out of the water and he was 3.5 minutes behind the leader, and there was probably 5, 6, 7 guys between him and the leader.
Yeah.
And then he just comes blowing in, and I'm expecting there to be people close by. No. He's just up there chit chatting.
3 minutes.
And he's already fully recovered. He's laughing. He's not breathing. And finally, we're
John
there's some
Josh.
people over there. And he's and Evan's oh no, he got him.
I was so bummed for Josh at that point. He was so close.
Yeah, but not for nothing. Josh, he smoked
dude,
it too.
He's flying on the bike.
He was
moving.
probably maybe a minute and a half behind you coming out of the water.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he closed all of that. He overtook quite a few people.
Oh yeah,
to put himself in third place.
He moved himself into third coming off the bike. I think that I only put a minute into Josh on the bike.
Yeah.
And for reference, I think last year at PDX I put 2 minutes into him.
Wow.
So he chopped our deficit by a half. And anybody who's ridden with Josh this last year knows Josh is no joke right now.
Yeah.
This guy can put out a ton of watts in a time trial right now. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, fun day.
Well done.
Yay.
Awesome. Good job. Lance.
Yes.
Backpedal.
I got nothing to talk about. Believe it or not, this is the first. I started
rode
to feel
your
like
bike a bunch.
I did not.
Are you sure? I saw you all over Strava.
And Lance, were you at the gravel ride last week?
Yeah, but we talked about that last week.
What'd you ride last
that's
week?
right.
We already talked about it in our last podcast.
He was there.
I did the gravel ride. I did the lab ride, but we talked about that last week.
Did you show up to the flogging ride?
I did not go to the flogging ride. I started to feel like crap again.
Yeah.
I did whatever I had, which I'm pretty sure now was probably COVID. It has just not left my system.
And not showing up on tests. But
It did not show. I did not test positive, but all the other signs and symptoms were kind of there. That's probably what it was. But yeah, these last 4 days, I just haven't felt very good. So
the romance strain.
yeah. So I didn't ride a whole lot.
Gotcha.
I rode this morning because I had to drop a car off.
Right on. I rode last week.
Yes, you did.
I finally got in some decent hours. I got up to 9 hours last week, and that sounds paltry and pathetic. It's
No, it does not. Trust me.
I used to be mad at myself if I didn't get 10.
Anything under
And
10,
I'm excited about 9, but it's just, I don't know.
But it's a better progressive build back than just trying to spike up to 10 out of nowhere and then try and hold
we
that.
did the gravel ride. We already talked about that on the podcast last week, which was good. We did the flogging ride.
That's better, yeah. It was spicy.
It was spicy.
Yeah, it always is. Yeah.
That was probably the most lightheaded I've ever been on a bike after that finishing leg.
Yeah.
We had Paul and Lee. Lee Farmer is one of the POA guys. Got into a breakaway on 292nd. This means nothing to people who don't live by here, but the Long Hawkinson Crawl. And they got a pretty big break. And then I had a couple other people that it all got strung out at that point in time. There was 4 people that stayed with us, and I got them to finally start rotating with me. And we slowly but surely started bringing back in. But we got to a point where two of the guys that were rotating with us just got too tired. And so they ended up falling off. And one of the other POA guys, Rich, said, "Hey, Rich, come with me. Let's go." And like he and I worked together, and we reeled him in at the very last, like there's this like tight dogleg right turn where we get into this last sprint, which is about 100 meters-ish. And we caught them right on the turn. And I basically pulled Rich up, and he came around me. Yeah. And Lee just fell off. He didn't even like really partake in the sprint. And Rich came around, and Paul, being in there, gets up and starts to sprint with Rich. And I'm like, I'm not going to let him go. So I got up out of the saddle too, and I jumped right onto Rich's wheel and came around him and got both of them. Nice. After doing a ton of work, and I get up to the regroup spot, and no joke, I was like sucking wind in. I was like so like lightheaded, and I was over the bars. I was like moaning, like, oh, I thought I was going to die.
The good news about the comeback fit, you still have the top end. You just have way less matches now. Is that issue?
I thought for sure I was going to die on the ride back home, but I did all right. So slow but sure, it's coming back.
Nice.
Get out there. And
that's
then,
awesome to hear.
Yesterday, because we're recording this on Monday this week, we did our 4th anniversary ride of getting hit by the car. So
I was happy to see Sean out on a bike. That was good.
That was really nice.
That was really cool to see.
I haven't ridden. I think I've ridden with Sean. So we did that whole like ride for every day for 365 days, and like an idiot, I didn't stop until 501 days. But Sean was doing that with me. I've ridden with him. I rode with him on the 365th day, and then when he rode with us on the Michael Myers Memorial ride, and those are the only 2 rides that I've done with Sean.
Yeah.
In the last almost year now, so it's kind of crazy, but it was nice to have him back out there. And he's does
he plan on getting back on the road a little bit this
talking
summer?
with him yesterday, he did make a mention that that ride that we were doing in the moment, he's like, this has kind of got me excited about riding again. So hopefully he gets back into it.
Has Nels been out riding much?
No, he's been super busy with all of his senior activities. He's getting ready to graduate here in the next 2 weeks or so,
and trying to pick a school to go to.
UW.
Yeah. Oh, we did pick UW.
He's going to UW. He's going to be living in a dorm up there at University of Washington.
These kids put so much effort into college decisions now, which I completely get. But I look back on the way I made a college decision. I'm like, wow, that was a crapshoot.
This place looks cool. They accepted me.
I was like, where do I get to pay the less? The least like give me.
But I'm just looking forward to a nice full week of riding, and I'm looking at the forecast, and it doesn't look too bad. Friday and Saturday don't look all that great, but I think with the temperature being what it's going to be, warm rain's fine. Nice. Yeah, go ride the gravel bike or something. So, kind of excited about that. Cool. All right. Really fast, one last thing. Lance, go.
It is my youngest daughter's birthday today, Darby Hepler. She turned 22 years old.
Happy birthday, Darby.
Happy birthday, Darby. She is celebrating in New York City with her sister,
New
Kelty.
York City.
Kelty and Darby took a trip on their own to New York City to hang out. They were on the Today Show this morning.
In the background, holding signs up?
Oh, in the background. They actually came by and took a shot of them saying something. So.
Oh, really?
That's actually really cool. That's very cool. That's like a good New York City thing to do.
I haven't watched that TV show in 30 years, but that's cool.
I actually saw it last week randomly.
I don't know.
I just flipped. I was like auto cable, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah. Evan, one last thing.
Tonight, racing PIR, and hopefully the NASCAR car oil is off the track.
There was a NASCAR race there this weekend.
Yeah, so we'll see how that affects PIR. But
did you guys catch any of that race?
No, I didn't.
Oh, the NASCAR race?
Yeah. I mean, are these legit drivers who were out there?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was the actual NASCAR people?
The big people, names that you would know?
Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea that came to Portland.
This is the first year NASCAR came. There's been an IndyCar race here the last few years.
Gotcha.
Is that a good track for NASCAR, though? It doesn't feel like it's big enough.
It doesn't feel like a NASCAR track.
Wherever they can do. I mean, it's not a super speedway. It's, it's like an IndyCar race.
Yeah, it's technical.
Yeah. It's 1.9 miles. Is it wide enough? I don't know. It just feels small because I ride bicycles on it.
It does feel very small, yeah.
I think it's a normal racetrack. We're just not used to it.
Do they go faster than 30 miles an hour?
Yes, they do.
Man, cool.
That's funny.
Does this mean all of our KOMs are taken?
If they had Strava running, yes, it does.
I cannot wait to check that tonight and see there's some guy who does a 120 mile an hour lap on that.
Don't care about Strava at all.
Flag that one.
Awesome. Cool. All right. My one last thing is we're going to try and do the fog hat ride again this Friday, guys. We're gonna try. It's been rainy. We did it this past week, and the only reason why we still did it was because it was World Bicycle Day. But we still only had like 6 or 7 people show up. So, but if you're gonna come out to the local fog hat ride, it's a slow ride. We're gonna take it easy, and it's a very slow ride that's gonna be meant to be social and no efforts taken. And we're gonna start encouraging people to bring cool bikes, just anything random. And then there will be themes that are going to come along with that.
Can I ride my big wheel?
You sure can.
All right.
Yep. So if you're local and you want to come out and ride that, just go check out the Dialed Cycling Club on Strava. We will put all the details, and there will be a competition this week. So come on out.
Cool.
Good. All right. We do appreciate everybody listening. We will be back next week with another podcast. Until then, time out. Hold on a second. Hold the rope.
What?
I said that we were going to do a Patreon drawing. Lance, go get the drawing thing.
Good. I'm going to slowly start leaving now, but I will.
This will here. I'm going to put the clock back on the thing here. Dude, I'm so sorry. Patrons, thank you so much. Evan's going to pull one out of the thing here, and tick tock. It is
Chris Surratt.
Hasn't
he won a bunch of these before?
Well, everybody's won because they've been in there for a long time, and
That's
they've been.
true.
Yeah, when we cycle through everybody. So Chris Surratt, you are the proud winner of something in the little box thing that we've got stuff over
Anything
here
from Jake's house.
So
Excellent.
congratulations, sir. If you're interested in becoming a patron, go to dialpodcast.com and click the link there and find a Patreon that works best for you. And we have a new Patreon, Mark Radford. Hey, Mark.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, thanks for being a patron.
Thank you, Mark.
Awesome, Mark.
Yeah, cool beans. All right, we will see you next week. And until then, bye for now.